Well, Desiring God Ministries put out a video about how to be a real man. And John Piper, now I love John Piper. John Piper, one of my favorite pastors. John Piper puts out this message just seeping with chivalry, not based on scripture, but based on romantic chivalry. Now, just to frame this properly for us, before we get into what John says, just to frame properly, Genesis chapter 2 says, woman was created to be the helper to the man. And the Apostle Paul affirms this, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 9. For man was not created for the woman, but woman was created for the man. Okay, so with that frame in mind, as we get into what John says, at first glance, it looks good, but chivalry just seeping with chivalry, not based on scripture, based on romantic chivalry. Let's get to it here. Now, to set this up, John talks about how a young man meets a young woman at church and he asks her to lunch after church. What a wonderful situation. And then in the midst of this, now they're walking to go to lunch or whatever, and she reveals a few things about herself. Let's see what he says here.
On their way there, in the conversation, he finds out she has a black belt in martial arts. In fact, he finds out that she's one of the best in the state. At 19th and 11th, two men accost them with ominous expressions and say, "Pretty girl you've got there, fella. We like her purse and your wallet." And then they say, "In fact, she's really pretty. We like her." Now the thought goes through his head, she's got a black belt in martial arts. But instead of stepping behind her, he takes her elbow with a firm grip and just eases her back and says, "You touch her, it'll be over my dead body."
Ooh, now here's the chivalry coming in. She is perfectly capable of defending herself with the black belt in karate. I think this is the situation we're setting up here. Perfectly to bit. Let's just say that she is. Now, even with the black belt in karate, I don't know if anybody has taken martial arts and things like this, but even even if you are experienced, if you're a 120-pound woman and it's a 250-pound guy, I don't care if you have a black belt in karate. Like you, it doesn't matter. Anyway, regardless of that, though, I think the situation we're setting up here is that she is more capable than her man at physically defending herself. That's the situation. So he steps back and he says, "Over my dead body, are you touching this girl that I don't know, that I just met, that I asked to go to lunch, and I will now die for her?" And recognize now, I don't know her really at all. I just met her today at church, but I'm going to put myself in harm's way, die for her, even though she is probably more capable of defending herself than I am. Now, here's where scripture comes in, where we set chivalry aside for a minute and scripture comes in. Please give me chapter and verse that says this is what it means to be a godly Christian man. I will die for a woman that I just met, even though she is more capable of defending both of us in said situation. Now, if we think about scripture, listen, the woman was created to be the helper to the man. Could she help her man in this situation by fending off the fiends who are looking for a purse and to take advantage of her? Or could she demonstrate that she was created for the man, not the other way around? The way that John sets this situation up, it seems as if men were created to be the helper to the woman, that men were created for the woman if they are to lay down their lives for some almost stranger that they don't even know. It seems to me we are flipping scripture on its head and saying that no, actually, woman was created for the man here. Now, I know that will blow our mind. I know that's really out of everybody's going to say, come on, Matt, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, blah, blah, blah. But really, though, if we're sticking to what Scripture actually says and not just keeping our mind in just romantic chivalry, it seems like that would be a little more towards what should happen, especially if she is a black belt in karate, capable of Bruce Lee, Kung Fu, Wah Wah, Six Boom Ba to these guys. I don't know. Let's listen on, though.
And he tackles them up. And while he tackles them, he says, run. They knock him out cold. And the next thing they know, they're both on their back with their teeth bashed in. Little crowd gathers, and the ambulance comes. They put him in the ambulance. She gets in the ambulance with him. And as she's riding to the hospital with this man, she looks down at him and says to herself, this is the kind of man I want to marry.
Ooh, this is the man I want to marry. He was incapable of defending me, so I defended myself. I've actually become the man I want to marry because I am so strong and independent and blah blah blah. I've become the man I wanted to marry. Thank you, Gloria Steinem, for that line of feminism. But anyway, this is the man I want to marry. Oh, the chivalry just. Now, we all know this isn't true. We all know a woman would not be attracted to a man who she can beat up. We all know this is complete nonsense. But notice the chivalry. We're not talking biblical manhood and womanhood. We're not talking biblical values. We're not talking chapter and verse in the Bible. We're talking chivalry. We're just talking chivalry here. We got to notice it.
Okay, that's my sermon. Here's the point of the story. The point of the story is that the deeper differences between manhood and womanhood are not superior or inferior competencies.
Okay, so the deeper differences are not superior competencies. But we all know that a woman does not want an incompetent man. If she is more competent than he is, then they are not getting married. Why do we have, I know this is older. I think people are starting to realize these things a lot more, but why do we have to make up this nonsense so much? Like what? I mean, we all know if a woman is more competent than a man, they're not getting married. If a woman was more competent physically than a man, then 99% of the time they're not getting married. If this black belt woman is so awesome and she knocks these guys out cold and blah, 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 six boom, blah, here we go, they wouldn't get married. She wouldn't be attracted to this guy. It wouldn't matter how godly he was. It wouldn't matter how much he could expound on the scriptures from the pulpit. Wouldn't matter. She wouldn't be attracted to them, and they wouldn't get married. This relationship wouldn't happen. Come on.
That's the point of the story. They are rather deep dispositions or inclinations written on the heart, albeit often very distorted. First, well, now three things from the story. First, he took the initiative and asked her if he could sit with her, if she would go to lunch. He suggested the place and how to get there. She saw what he was doing. She responded freely according to her desires, and she joined the dance.
Okay, here we go. Now, here's what we're setting up. Chivalry. Chivalry, chivalry, chivalry. The woman is the prize. He took the initiative and asked her as the leader. Okay, a man should be a leader. All right, I got you there. But does that mean a woman cannot take the initiative in relationships and whatever else? I don't think it does. Please give me chapter and verse that says that's true. I really don't think that's true. I would like to have a chapter and verse that says that. And then she joins the dance. She is the prize. She is the thing being pursued. Sorry, she's the person being pursued. She's the prize. Blah, blah, blah. This is chivalry. This is romantic chivalry. This is not biblical manhood and womanhood. We have to recognize that.
When a man and a woman dances, if they're both very good, he's generally taking the initiative and she's following, and nobody even thinks about that because the coordination is beautiful. Second, he wanted to treat her to lunch. He's paying. This sends a signal. I think my responsibility in this relationship, in this little drama right now, is that I not only initiate, but I provide. She understands that. She approves of that.
She approves of the, yes, yes, she approves of it. Isn't that wonderful? She approves of you providing. Yes, I am the prize and you are paying for me. Listen up, real Christian man. You are paying for me. Never mind the fact that women are given preferential treatment in the job market. Never mind the fact they're given preferential treatment in education. Never mind the fact that in our chivalric culture, they will be given every advantage that you can think of. Never mind all that. No, man, biblical man, you are paying. This is what we are setting up from the very first date. You will send the signal. I am paying. You are the prize. You bring nothing. I bring everything. We're going to set that up right now. Ooh, do you see the chivalry here? you got, you got, and I love John Piper, but I'm saying, come on. All right.
She supports the initiative, graciously accepts the offer, and this says nothing about who's wealthier, nor does it say anything about who's better at making a living.
Shouldn't that come into the somewhere in here about who's wealthier and who's making that? Again, like we don't have traditional marriage either with this. I know we've been talking some on my channel about dowry and what traditional marriage actually is. When we talked about a wedding proposal, the wedding proposal was when the two families got together and the wife's family would come up with a sum of money to propose the marriage, and the husband, the groom, would accept that proposal or reject that proposal. That's traditional marriage. Even in the West, that was traditional marriage. This is not traditional.
It is irrelevant to the masculine soul, as God made it, I believe, that a woman he is with has a greater capacity for defending herself than he does for defending her. That is irrelevant to his soul when this danger appears. He's not expedient. He's not calculated.
I don't know. See, now here again, is that's irrelevant to the masculine soul? I would say, yeah, that's probably true. I don't know if I would call it the masculine soul, though. I would maybe call it the programming we have received from chivalry, from a society that functions on chivalry. That's what was. I will die for basically a stranger that I just met today. I will give my life and die for her. I don't think all masculine cultures function in that same way. I don't think they do, but ours does because we are steeped in chivalry. That's why. It's not steeped in biblical values. That's not it.
He's a man. Over my dead body, you'll touch her. That's what he says. That's what he always says. It's a matter of manhood. And you know it's not a matter of competency. She took him out in the end. You get the message here. This is not ever about superior or inferior competencies of leadership, competencies of provision, competencies of protection. It's never about that. It's always about what's in the soul of a woman, what's in the soul of a man, to be man and to be woman.
No, this is about what chivalry has taught us. It's not necessarily about what's in the soul of a man and a woman. It's about chivalry. Please, can we get this right? This is about chivalry. If it was about what is biblically based, we would see the woman is here to be the helper to the man. She was created for the man. I mean, if anything, if you want to take this to an extreme, now I know this is an extreme, but if anything, the woman should say, hold on, I will die for this man because I was created to be his helper. Now I know that's extreme. Everybody would be like, get out of here. But that's literally what scripture says. It's literally what it says.
At the heart of mature manhood is a God-given sense, disposition, inclination, that the primary responsibility, note the word primary, it's never sole responsibility, that the primary responsibility lies with him when it comes to leadership initiative, provision, and protection. And the heart of mature womanhood is the God-given sense or disposition or inclination that this doesn't say anything about her inferiority, but is a beautiful thing to come alongside of, gladly affirm, gladly receive his leadership, his provision, his protection, and join him in the enterprise of life.
Men, you are here to protect and provide for women. That is why you exist. And women, you are here to receive Just receive the loving provision and protection. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Give me chapter and verse that says that. I wanted to please in the comments below, please give me chapter and verse that says this is what biblical manhood is. No. Here's biblical manhood, Genesis chapter 2. The woman was created to be the helper to the man, not the other way around. He is not here to just protect and provide for her. She is here to help him. That is what she is here to do. She is not just here to receive goods and services. No, she's not here to receive goods and services. She is here to help the man. She was created, 1 Corinthians 11, for him, not the other way around. Okay? We got to get this right. We got to get it turned around. And we are getting it turned around because Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.